Good morning, traders, and welcome back to the Trader Bacon Show. I'm your host, Gates Adams, and John in the chat is already mirroring my sentiment with the week off for Labor Day. Boy, did I miss you guys. John, thank you for that comment. I appreciate that. I love that. Always look forward to getting back in here and sharing my Monday mornings with all of you. So hang out with us. We're going to have a lot of fun today. A couple of things I want to go through. First and foremost, congratulations to Apex Trader Funding continuing the charge forward and continuing to pay traders with no limits to what they can do. Over $292 million paid out to traders. And I think we're going to break that 300 million mark at the next payout request period. So looking forward to that big milestone, looking forward to continuing on. I know it's going to be real exciting when we get to that billion, but we are moving forward faster and faster week after week. We are averaging over $90 million, $96 million paid out to traders in the last 90 days. That's averaging over $1 million a day. And that's including weekends when we average that out. So that's super exciting. I love to see the level of success that traders are experiencing with Apex Trader Funding. Just to move that forward a little bit for traders, they are, again, offering 80% off all evaluations right now and $35 resets. So if you're the trader that has a handful of resets, this is a great time, great opportunity to get in there and get those cheap resets as well. Make sure to use promo code Benzinga. You will always get the best price available when you use promo code Benzinga. So don't forget to use that. But this promo, we've got 2.5 days left, so make sure you take full advantage of that. Also, we will be giving away 3 evaluations over the course of this show, so make sure to fill out that form and get your entry in to win one of those evaluations. Of course, last week, winners were Stan, Toby, not last week, 2 weeks ago, excuse me, winners Stan, Toby, and Krasimir. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Congratulations to you guys. You should already have all the information on that. If not, make sure to check your email and check your spam folder as well. If you get a chance, go check out the Forge Trader podcast. I am on a little bit of a pause right now, but there's some great episodes on there and hopefully a lot of value to traders out there. So be sure to check that out as well. All of that said, we've got a wonderful guest today. Shalon has been a trader for quite some time now. He's doing really well and continuing to grow, and he's going to share some of his wisdom with us today on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show. Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now. Shalom, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Gates. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Welcome to the show, and thanks for hanging out with us this morning. I just real quick before we get into it, I don't want to miss this. Shaka, I love when you guys get real fired up in the chat. Shaka says, been making a crate load of money trading futures on my prop account. Thanks, Apex. Thank you for that comment right there. Just a great way to start off the show as well. John, Shaka, you guys are awesome. Love seeing you guys in the chat there. So, Shalon, welcome, man. So how's everything been going? How are things working out for you right now?
Oh, everything's great. Thanks for having me. It's been a journey for sure. So, but I've learned quite a bit for sure. I've been doing it for 4 years now, 4.5 years, I guess, trading futures. And, I just feel like I have a lot to give back, a lot of inspiration for a lot of traders for sure.
Well, and I love that. I love traders who like to share what it is that they're doing. And we'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end of the show, but you're streaming a lot of what you're doing on YouTube at Future Sniper Beast. Make sure to check him out on that. But to me, I think that's really an indicator of someone who is not just in it for that end of day. I think that when people are more conditioned to contributing to I call it the society of traders, I think that brings an inner peace when we struggle with those periods of time where things maybe aren't going as well as we'd like to in the way that we'd hoped. So 4.5 years you've been trading now?
4.5 years now, yeah.
So how'd you get in the game? It sounds like you're probably a COVID baby.
I am. So just a backstory, I guess, quickly. It started really in 2008. Was young, early 20s, and new kids started to decide, hey, I need to do something with my life. Got into finance, the traditional world of finance, kind of almost personal finance, financial coach type of thing in 2008. So I had a lot of people when I was wanted to build an agency, and people were like, "Hey, do you know what's going on in the world right now? Things are kind of crumbling." And I said, "Yeah, I know. I figured things are not the best time right now, but I always knew I wanted to do something in the world of investing. I just didn't know it was trading yet. So I got into the world of finance. And worst case, I thought, hey, maybe I can learn a little bit about money myself." And so did that. And then my parents actually, so my dad was always, a hard worker and always had good ideas. And my mom was always very ambitious. And one day as I was getting a little bit older, she said, "Hey, there's this guy named Robert Kiyosaki. Read his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad." So, okay, checked it out. And then I was like, wow. So I got into real estate. And then I kind of saw that area of investing and all that. And it was great, but numbers were my thing. I always liked numbers. And so I got into real estate and I was like, yeah, this is good. But I was never really attached emotionally or anything to the real estate itself. I was always attached to the numbers, and it still didn't quite just hit me. And then COVID happened. So then, here we are, locked down, not sure what's going on. And I got an email from a Daryl Martin. And it said, "Watch how I made $12,000 in one night." And I was like, here's one of these emails.
Right.
And said, "Well, we're at home. Let me check it out." And from there, and it was because I signed up when he was doing some Nadex stuff back in the day. And so
way back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was still on his email list. And so I watched and it was, hey, sniper boot camp, try it out for 30 days free, no credit card needed. And I was like, well, I have time and it's not going to cost anything. So let me check it out. And then from there, that was it. I said, you know what? This is what I've been looking for. It was day trading, but not just day trading, in the futures market.
Right.
So yeah, and I kind of dabbled into some other stocks and options stuff here and there in the past. And it was guru stuff teaching you some random things. And so that's how I got into it. From there, it just took off.
Well, I love it. And that's the thing. I mean, I think as traders, we always want to kind of look to the, either side of what it is that we're doing. And okay, well, futures is interesting. What about options? Well, what about, penny stocks? What about this instrument, that instrument, Forex, whatever the case may be? And for each of us, I think we always just kind of find our comfort zone. And that really is what it boils down to. I know a lot of people who love options. They've learned to live with the Greeks. They've learned to work with the Greeks. And that's their thing. To me, I have zero desire for that. I want to know when it goes up one tick, I make $5. When it goes down one tick, I lose $5 or whatever the case may be. That, to me, the simplicity of that is what makes futures so appealing.
That's same here. Yeah.
But that's all part of that journey. I mean, unless we explore, to me, I found you don't really know where your comfort zone is unless you experience the extremes.
Very true. Very true. I agree.
So how did you, so you started with the sniper and how long did it take you to really kind of get comfortable with the strategy and actually executing trades on a consistent basis?
So the strategies I thought were very straightforward as far as here's one to enter, here's one to exit. And what I really liked was Daryl really taught a lot about when not to trade, when not to take these entries.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of reasons, you can have a specific entry, whatever strategy you're using.
Right.
And if you're not reading the market right, then, you can get taken out. And also not every entry is going to be the right entry. So the strategy itself, I think, but see, also, I'll back up a little bit. I study vigorously. So I don't just, watch a video and that's it. Well, the way I look at things and I came into trading is I wanted to take it very serious. So, I had my notebooks, I highlighted, rewatched videos over and over. So I think it took me really 1 or 2 months to kind of get it down.
Sure.
The rest is what I feel like most traders struggle with is the discipline psychology part. And that's where I really struggled for a few years. For sure.
As everybody that watches knows, that's one of my favorite topics to talk about.
Right.
which of course I delved heavily into in the Forex Trader podcast. But so I love seeing that start, because you and I started. I mean, barring my original horrible origin story, we started in a lot of the same way. I started with Daryl and Sniper, and of course over time that evolves into what works best for me, or at least at this point, what works best for me. Through that evolution, if you want to pull up some charts, let's talk about what your trading strategy has evolved into over the course of these last several years, and what's actually working for you now as a consistently paid funded trader with Apex.
Yep. So I'm actually trading using ICT concepts now. Very, people have their opinions, whatnot. I actually accidentally got into trading ICT. And the reason why is because I was doing, the sniper system. I was doing pretty good. I had my ups and downs, and I always kind of wanted something that was my own, where I didn't necessarily need any tools eventually. But one video I came across, because I'm always researching, I'm always looking at different things and trying to get better, is he made a video that he said here, he explained a lot of stuff. And he said, if you don't believe me, just pull it up on your own chart. Right. And don't take my word for it. So I said, you know what? Okay, whatever. And then I started seeing some things, and I started seeing it working. And I said, okay, this is looking pretty good. But so basically, if anybody is familiar with him or his concepts, I've been mastering the 2022 model that he has on his mentorship on his YouTube channel. And basically, I've been doing that since October of last year. So coming up on 1 year that I've been doing that. And it's basically, as you can see here, I had, like this morning, this is from this morning, I had a bias that the market would come down. And what he does is he looks at a top-down analysis, basically meaning from the daily chart, you work your way down in time frames. And his whole thing is, he says the market is only moving to liquidity, right? So either a buy side liquidity or a sell side liquidity, or what he calls an imbalance, which is a fair value gap. It's a gap in the market. So this morning, basically, from the weekly and daily chart, I expected price to move down into, we have some lows, and we're already, in this bit of a bearish trend going down.
Right.
But, and then from there is I drop down time frames, and I'm looking for reasons why the market may move it. First, you're looking for a draw on liquidity first, and then the market to expand in the opposite direction. Right. That's basically what it boils down to, without getting into too many details. So this morning I was looking and saw a 15-minute fair value gap up here and a 1 hour that the market could draw up into, because I had a short bias for the day or for the morning. So really what I look at is because I only trade within a 1 hour window, and I have to keep these rules for myself, because if I don't, that's when I get out of line. So I have rules where I have a very specific time frame that I trade. I only take one entry, whether I win or lose, and that's it. I move on from there. And I do that just to keep my discipline in check. So basically I had that bias that it would come down. So I'm looking for a reason for price to draw up first and then go down from. So whenever I find this area, then I look for basically what he explains is a market structure shift and then a rundown. Right. Which it happened. The only issue is this morning I took the wrong entry. So we actually had a little bit of a shift here on the 1 minute. Right. We had a fair value gap here as it took these lows out, and then it inverted, which is if it creates a fair value gap and then it goes back through it, that's an inversion of it. So it came back up into this area, and then I shorted here. And actually I can throw on my executions here. So I shorted here, and it went down. I mean, I was up almost 20 points in this trade, but my target was this area, and then it just shot up against me and reached up a little higher, and then it made that run down. And so basically, yeah, I don't worry about losses anymore, because I have a very strict money management plan now, whether I win or lose. My job is, if I lose, I need to go back and figure out, why did I lose? Was it, and usually there's something that I find, and then I note it, I'm very big on journaling. So I note what happened and I review. And then at the end of the week, every weekend, I review what mistakes did I make, what could I have done better? And then I just try to improve on it every single week. And really what that's done is, since I started trading ICT, I've been getting some consistent payouts now over the last few payout periods. And what I did was, starting in February, I said, you know what, I'm going to trade, because in December and January, I had a little bit of a rough patch. I was kind of switching over from the sniper to ICT concepts, and I knew I had a learning phase coming up ahead of me. So from February, I told myself I'm going to trade one micro, because my accounts at that point that I had, they were really way down in drawdown. So I said, I'm just going to trade one micro. I'm not going to worry about making money. And that's what I did. I don't even worry about the money side anymore, because what I do is I go for points per day. I know if I trade well, that's why my, I guess, slogan for myself is trade well, because I know if I trade well, the byproduct of that is you will make money. And then following strict money management, where as long as I'm winning more than I'm losing on a regular basis, and my win rate is 50% or more, because I'm a numbers person. So I look at, then I can put the probabilities on my side. And that's really my main focus. And that's why, honestly, I believe there's many strategies that you can be profitable with and do well on if you have discipline, and the discipline to follow a strict money management plan and not go outside of that. So from February until May, I traded one micro, didn't care about making money. All I cared about was, am I learning and reading the market well and knowing what the market should do? From there, then I can have data for, and that's why I traded one micro too. I didn't want to just watch, because I wanted data for myself. Kind of like how people back test things. I was forward testing, and I'm a real big believer in forward testing. So I did that for a couple months, and then now I have data for actual trades. And then from there, I found how much I could risk, how many, when I actually am trading my accounts the way I want to be, how much do I need to risk per trade? How much do I, in order to not blow accounts and to keep accounts. And from May on, I've had the same PA accounts with Apex, and have added more, of course.
And that level of consistency speaks volumes, because I know traders that will go through, they'll get a payout or two, then they'll lose their PA and start back all over again. And there's a psychological damage that happens, I think, every time that happens, until you can get to the point where you see and you build that confidence. So you're a numbers guy. You mentioned that you're a numbers guy, and you're talking about wanting to make sure you're at least better than 50% on the win ratio. So this leads me to the question, are you looking for a specific minimum risk reward ratio? Are you comfortable with a 1-to-1? Where do you like that to appear when you're selecting which trades to enter?
So I do want a minimum of 1-to-1. I prefer at least 1.5 to 1. And if I can, a 2-to-1. That's the best. But for me to enter a trade, I have to at least have the 1-to-1. But like I said, I prefer, and the way the setups work and everything with the way, the strategy and the ICT concepts, most of the trades are all going to be around that 1.5 to 2 anyways, where I can target. The issue in the beginning too, because I was taught, well, with the sniper system, of course, you're only trading, you're looking for very small trades. Then you can graduate into simplicity, which they teach as well, and you can get bigger trades. But it was very hard for me to go from 9-tick winners to 20-tick winners, and then anything bigger to hold those. I'm sitting there like, I don't want to, do I get out? So a lot of these trades, I can get that 1.5 to 2 or more. Sometimes I still go for, what he refers to as the low hanging fruit, because I don't like to really sit there forever. And so now, my winners usually range from 35 to 60 points, but they usually happen pretty quick. But yes, I do prefer minimum 1-to-1. I don't, and that's for mainly my discipline's sake, because if I do take a loss, for example, today I took a loss, well, I know if I get a win tomorrow or the next win that I get, it'll make up for that loss and then some.
Sure.
So that helps my discipline a lot.
And that's a fantastic point. I know when I made that transition, 9 ticks usually would happen within a matter of seconds, 9 or 21, depending on
Right.
which side of it we were.
Uh-huh.
And so when I started to look for bigger trades that might keep me in a trade for 5 minutes, heaven forbid, right? I got to the point where I started to realize I had this level of anxiety of being in a trade.
Right.
And I had to fight my way through that. I actually came up with a little trick. I got some little, I think I mentioned this before. I got some little juggling balls so that I could sit there and keep my mind and my hands busy, and it would relieve that anxiety. Now I've gotten to the point where I'm in trades for minutes, half hour, something like that, and I don't feel that same thing. But that transitional period was definitely a struggle for me, as it was outside of what had been my norm. And I think that's something that a lot of traders experience as they're making adjustments and tweaks, because every dynamic shift creates a potential challenge. Right. And finding the way through that is I think, incredibly valuable. Now, I love what you've done here. Obviously, you're keeping and maintaining stats. You know what everything looks like for you. And how much of an impact do you think that has on your confidence to just take a loss, move forward with the day, and come back tomorrow?
This has everything to do with my, any consistency and discipline, and it has everything. So I used to use online trade journals, and they helped because I can actually put in, my specific setup and did I follow my setup rules, all that. And that was great. But now I'm past that, and I keep it. I like to journal on paper. And then I created this spreadsheet because it helps me zoom out. I always say, if I'm not worried about one losing day, I care more about, did I win the week? Did I win the month? Am I able to keep going? I don't want to be in the business of blowing accounts after accounts after accounts. Right. I mean, obviously a lot of people, myself included, we go through that phase, but eventually I don't want to get a payout and blow account, because I also copy my personal live account now as well. And that helps me stay disciplined, because I don't want to blow that account either. That's not one I can reset.
and again, I think this is a dynamic shift that probably takes a little bit of getting used to. I know a lot of traders who have done that. And there is that little dip in that transition period, but then they realize and find, like you did, that that's actually going to keep me more consistent, because, well, the penalty is worse.
Right. Exactly. So I made this so I can zoom out. If I have a loss, I can, and I put all these stats up here because I can still say, well, I'm still up, for the month or whatnot. So, I like to show, this was when I started in May. I started fresh after I learned. I said, okay, now I'm going to start brand new. And this is the accumulation of all my accounts. So this is not just one. When you see net P&L, because I have multiple Apex accounts. So it's the accumulation, because all I care about is the total. So I like the average win-loss ratio. That's my ratio. I want to see that above 1, and I want to see my win rate above 50% and my profit factor above 1. Well, it's negative, but as long as it's better than that, then and that's why they're highlighted green, then I know over the long term, if I can keep that up, I'll make money. Right. It's just the numbers. It'll work that way. So in May, I started off in the middle of May, and then in June, a lot better of a month, where I go on a little bit of a streak. But then here's those numbers that I really like to pay attention to. But I do want this average win-loss ratio to be closer to that 1.5 or to 2. Sure. So that part in the earlier months was me learning how to hold these trades. That was hard. But then you can see as each month goes, this is increasing. And I really like that, that's getting closer to that 2. And then the profit factor and the win rate. August was a little tough, and it did. But like I said, I keep all these because I can zoom out. If I'm ever having, like, August started rough. I had 2 losing days in a row. I lost more than what I should have. I broke, and actually I need to note that I broke a rule on one of them where I took an extra trade, and I have that 1 trade rule. So I took an extra trade and it lost. And that's why I don't take it's an extra trade and go outside my money management, because now it takes longer to recover. And then that can easily mess me up on my discipline, like spiral out of control. But then when I zoom out, I say, okay, let's have a good day. I have a good day. And then I start seeing, okay, it's not that bad. And I created my little chart. So I made all this spreadsheet for myself.
Talk about being a numbers guy.
Yeah, just so I can see. I need a visual, and that's what really, really, really helped me. Because when it's going bad, as long as you're staying within a plan, it's not really ever going as bad as you truly think it is in the moment.
Right.
You know, we can get so caught up. So then I come here and I'm like, okay, I almost made up those 2 days. You know, there's no reason to lose control. And then it took me half the month in August to actually, and you can see in this little chart here, I was below zero for most of the month. And then it finally started going up. But that is only because I followed my money management. So, and then I took some withdrawals from these accounts in August again, the following month. So I've taken $9,000 out of these accounts. And with that, I added some more PAs here recently. So
beautiful.
I plan to keep going. And it's just, like I said, my 3 things that I say that I stick to is, you know, you got to have a strategy, of course, but then you have to have a money management plan and then the discipline to follow the strategy and the money management plan. I
love that. Now, we talked a little bit about the dynamics of change. And when we look for a new strategy or we have a dynamic shift, like going from eval to PA or PA to cash or whatever the case may be.
Right.
I think one of the things that I see when you're able to keep statistics like this, when you're able to manage what it is that you're looking at, what you're seeing, and using that to help what you feel, I think that this makes it easier to make those micro adjustments, which are going to have less of an impact on those results. So you can make a small change now looking for a better win rate or looking for a slightly better risk reward ratio or whatever the case may be without completely changing the dynamics, which can help shift that emotional response to wins and losses.
Right.
And so I love it. I'm a stats guy. I love numbers as well. That's very much a big, and I'm going to be real honest, as much as I love that, I'm not as disciplined as I should be at keeping stats and managing. And I think a lot of it is because I'm still fighting through some of those bad decisions, and stats become meaningless unless I'm doing the same thing each time. So maybe that's a little bit of justification on my end, but I know that that's one of those factors that will make a huge difference. And I've talked to countless traders who've shared that same experience. Now, at this point, you're actually very public with your trading. You have the YouTube channel. What all are you sharing on your channel?
So mainly, I am sharing some trade reviews that I'm doing. I'm not doing any live trading right this second. I plan on maybe doing that again at some point. But when I trade, I always record my sessions just for myself, and I kind of talk out loud. So what I've been doing is uploading those and kind of sharing like a live recording of it. So I'll do that, but then a lot of it is discipline, psychology, and money management, how to trade these, you know, whether it's Apex or whoever you use, how to trade these with having the proper money management in place, not, you know, using crazy leverage. I only trade micros. So it's, you know, there's ways to do it. And then, so yeah, that's usually what I have on most of my videos.
And I, obviously you brought this up, so I don't think you'll mind me sharing this, but it looks like you're trading micros. Your total account P&L is over 40 grand. I think that that's an important message to send to people who really want to size up and are experiencing those ups and downs a little bit more frequently. We all know that psychologically speaking, the trade is less stressful and we make less mistakes when there's less on the line. Right. And if we can duplicate that in some form or fashion, then we get that leverage without necessarily that psychological challenge. One of the reasons I love the accessibility of up to 20 accounts, simply because I know for me, if I size up, it hits my psychology. If I multiply it across multiple accounts, it doesn't. That's just me. But I think that that's a valuable lesson to remind people that it doesn't have to be grand slams every day.
Exactly. Yep. Cool. That's what, for me as well. I have that the leverage of Apex is just incredible. So you can, if I lose, I'm only losing, you know, a couple $100 per account. That's really it.
And that makes sense, because now you have the ability to stop when it's time to stop and just regroup and be ready for tomorrow.
Exactly.
So, man, valuable advice, man. I really appreciate you sharing some wisdom with us today. I know we will be back next week with another exciting show. So don't miss out on that. Hopefully we won't have any sort of I don't think we have any holidays coming up, so I love that consistency week after week. So I will not be missing you guys. So make sure to check back in next week. If you have not done so already, make sure you fill out the form that's in the chat so that you have a shot at winning one of those PAs. One of those evaluations, that we're giving away. So go ahead and fill that form out. For those of you looking to add to your portfolio, use promo code Benzinga to always get the best price available through apextraderfunding.com. Shalon, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure sharing this morning with you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And we'll see you guys next week on the next Trader Bacon Show. Thanks for joining the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and